So good morning, and welcome to the 184th Annual Commencement Ceremony at Denison University. Before we do anything else, can I get everybody here other than our graduates to please stand up? Can we just give the great Denison class of 2025 a round of applause? Thank you. You can sit. We have 611 names to get through today, so. And I will say this a couple times today, but it has been a tremendous honor to share this hill with the great Denison class of 2025. I'm just deeply proud to be the president of a college that has people like you as our students. Can I ask the graduates to stand up and look in any direction you want other than at me? And can we give all the parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, mentoring organizations, everybody who allowed this education to happen for you, a round of applause? And now, can I get you to look in that direction? And can we give our faculty and all the staff who work at Denison, who work tirelessly every day, a round of applause? You can sit. I say this objectively. There is not a faculty in the country that cares more about its students or a staff that does more to support its students than the people at Denison. So last year, I was asked by one of our seniors to offer advice to graduating seniors on how to successfully launch post-Denison. I had fun writing it, and then we published it in the alumni magazine this fall. And then we decided to do something fun. As I was traveling for the college, I just started meeting with any student who had graduated since I'd been to Denison for happy hours, dinners, lunches, just to talk about their post-Denison journeys. Based on their stories, advice, and reflections, here's my advice to this year's graduating seniors. First and foremost, use your liberal arts education to guide your everyday life. You worked hard to get this education, now use it. The liberal arts gives you the ability to be critical thinkers and creative problem solvers who know how to effectively communicate with others and to do so with the intellectual humility it takes to both navigate and contribute to the world. There's multiple parts to this way of being in the world. As critical thinkers, you know how to understand problems and issues in their complexity, to use intellectual frameworks, reason, and data to better understand the world around you and to always be seeking knowledge and truth. And you can go beyond critical thinking to suggest positive paths forward. A lot of alumni pointed out to me this year that the world does not need more cynicism or nihilism. It needs optimistic and forward-looking thinkers who can innovate and find paths forward, especially around problems that seem intractable. You are those people. Use the powerful ability to weave critical thinking and creative problem solving together to communicate effectively, especially to people who see the world differently than you. So many Denison alumni, old and young, remarked to me this year how Denison taught them to write and communicate. This faculty gave you that as a gift. Use it to weave words together so others can understand your points of view. Also, use your liberal arts education to listen and hear what others are saying so we can learn from each other. The point is never to win an argument, but rather to exchange ideas so better ideas and insights can emerge. And you can practice intellectual humility. You've developed the ability to walk through life as a lifelong learner. Liberal arts graduates understand that they might be wrong, and hence they are the people who are always seeking out alternative views, facts, and experiences. And as you use these liberal arts skills, also embrace what I will call liberal arts values: a commitment to hard work, ethics, empathy, curiosity, perseverance, humor, and an appreciation that we are all part of things larger than ourselves. That's the first. Here's the second. Remember that habits are a better predictor of life than goals. Yes, my second piece of advice comes from a Denisonian, James Clear, who's used his liberal arts education to understand how people can lead great lives. James urges us to understand that anybody can have goals, but our lives are shaped by our habits. He writes, "Your life today is essentially the sum of your habits. What you repeatedly do ultimately forms the person you are, the things you believe, and the personality that you portray." One of his most profound observations is that people do not rise to the level of their goals, but rather we tend to fall to the level of our habits. So last year, I encouraged the members of the class of 2024 to both read James's book, Atomic Habits, and then to find 3 habits that they wanted to improve. One alum who took me up on the challenge told me it was the best decision he made during his first year post-Denison. So try it and let me know how it works for you. Here's the third: just develop healthy relationships. If you get the relationships in your life right, everything else will fall into place. You've just spent 4 years on a campus that's defined by relationships. Hopefully, one of the things you learned at Denison is what a healthy relationship does and does not look like. Nurture your Denison friendships so they can continue to shape your life. Develop relationships with people who bring out the best in you. Shed toxic people. One alumnus said to me, "At Denison, I learned how to surround myself with people who are curious, grateful, and positive." Be the ones who keep your Denison crew connected. I heard so many heartwarming stories this year about the way Denison friendships are anchoring the lives of our recent alumni. Nurture those friendships and let them shape your life. Fourth, have your eye on the future, but don't fixate on it. Instead, be present in every moment, be performance-oriented, and as you do this, have a sense of humor about failure. Always focus your time and attention on enjoying the present moment, learning from that moment, and performing at the highest level in that moment towards whatever you're trying to achieve. So many alumni told me stories about the first few years post-college having a mixture of great moments, hard moments, and uncertain moments. The alumni who are building the lives they want to live are embracing them all. Remember, the stories we choose to tell ourselves about what is happening are more important than what's actually happening. It's important, as one alum said to me, to embrace all the uncomfortable moments. As they put it, the new cities, the new jobs, the new goals, the new social circles are all growth opportunities. So don't tell yourself stories about failure, but rather tell yourself stories about every moment being an opportunity to grow and to architect the life you want for yourself. Notice we're back to a core liberal arts principle, replacing fear with curiosity. And fifth, careers only look linear backwards. Find a place to start and take it one step at a time. I probably heard more comments about this comment than anything I've said during my 12 years at Denison. What I said last year seemed to resonate, and that's pretty simple, that the best first job is the one you can get. Your first job, all the parents in the room laugh because we know that to be true. The first job is merely your first job. Find some place to start and take it from there. I'll look at my best friend, partner, and spouse. As I say this, my first 3 jobs were an absolute disaster. But I learned from them, and my 4th got me on a path that I did not anticipate when I graduated from college, and it's changed my life. One recent alum said to me, "There's not a linear path to your early career. Expect to pivot between different jobs and sectors during the years following your undergraduate degree. Even jobs which do not seem completely ideal may open up pathways to future opportunities through the development of skills and connections. At the end of the day, there are many ways to craft a fulfilling life for yourself. It's not a one-size-fits-all equation or an exam question with a singular correct answer. Rather, embrace the years following your time at Denison to explore, have adventures, and invest in yourself on a personal and professional basis. To do this well, lean into your Denison network. Reach out to alumni who have interesting jobs. As one alumnus said to us, not every chat will land you an interview or even a referral. That's okay. Learning more about the kind of work out there through these interactions is an extremely productive way to spend your time. And here's my last, and this is a nod to our graduation speaker. Be a patron of the arts. In 2019, we opened the Eisner Center for the Performing Arts. We invested in the arts because the arts is where we find our humanity. Our alumni who stay active in the arts or become patrons of the arts will lead more meaningful, richer, and better lives. I'm so proud that we have Dee Dee Bridgewater here with us today. First, Dee Dee's a friend of this college, and over the last few years, she's fallen in love with the spirit of this place, and we've fallen in love with her. Anybody who loves Denison is a friend of mine. Second, Dee Dee has lived the liberal arts. She does not do one linear thing. She has leaned into and embraced her life in a way that I'm encouraging you to do so today. But her true love is jazz, which I would argue is a liberal art. Jazz is driven by curiosity. It builds off what comes before it in expected and unexpected ways. It leans into and embraces and cherishes complexity, and it is something done by those who know each other and sometimes by those who don't. So we invested in the arts for a simple reason, because it enriches our lives, and we're partially celebrating that today. So that's my advice. You get to be the architect of the life you want to live. Do so by using your Denison education you worked hard to receive. Develop good habits and nurture healthy relationships, starting with those you made at Denison. Be present in every moment and be performance-oriented. Find a job, and don't worry if it's not the perfect job. It won't be. Finally, stay curious, grateful, and positive. And the key to all of this is curiosity. Stay curious in everything you do and say yes to as many new opportunities as you can. You never know who you will meet or what door will open up. One last comment. So far, I've offered advice on how Denison can help you build the life you want. There's a second part to this equation. We hope you will choose to build your life in ways that contributes to the world around you, however you define that. I've spent my life committed to higher education because it matters. Education improves the lives of individuals and the health of families, communities, and organizations. You're graduating out into an interconnected world that is changing quickly, where the opportunities and challenges are both deep and wide. The world needs liberal arts graduates who can lean into complexity, who understand connections, who can lead from a wise and ethical core, and who are committed to the common good. The world needs people who can connect and work with a wide range of people to do the work it takes to create and sustain healthy communities, institutions, and organizations. Be those people. That's a Denison tradition. So lastly, I reached out to one of your fans about 2 weeks ago, and that's Denison alumnus Steve Carell, who came back this fall and spent a couple days on campus. And I just asked him to share with you, through me, some career advice. So here's what he offered to you, the Denison class of 2025. President Weinberg asked me to give him a quote for his speech, something thoughtful and wise. The best advice I can give you is, don't listen to anything Adam Weinberg tells you. My 19-year-old didn't laugh. She thought that was actually a good statement. Except if he tells you this: Kindness is underrated, decency is the antidote to hatred, and generosity of the heart will never go out of style. Steve is a Denisonian. He's a product of the liberal arts. So I just want to end with a favor. You are remarkable Denisonians. I'm deeply proud that you will walk through the rest of your life connected to this college. Stay connected and committed to Denison. Come back for your reunions. Put a Denison coffee mug on your desk at work so everybody knows you went to Denison, a bumper sticker on your car, and a Denison pennant on your refrigerator at home. Wear Denison baseball caps whenever you go out. You are great people, and we want the world to know you're Denisonians. Identify yourself so other members of our extended community can do the same. Congratulations to the Denison class of 2025. So it is now my pleasure to introduce Dr. Rick Hall, Vice President for Student Life, who will introduce the student speaker for the class of 2025.
Thank you, Adam. It is our tradition at Denison that each year a member of the graduating class addresses the audience during the commencement ceremony. The speaker is chosen through a competitive process by a committee of faculty, staff, and students. This year's speaker is a History and Black Studies double major and a Phi Beta Kappa Society inductee. Her academic work, focused on the university's archival collections in Black American history, resulted in a senior research project rewriting the anti-war movement, Black student opposition to the Vietnam War on Southern college campuses. Outside of the classroom, she has served as an event coordinator for DU Votes, a nonpartisan student organization that advocates for voter registration and voter registration. A writing center consultant and an assistant teacher at Granville Elementary School. She's been busy. She is also a proud member of the Burpees CD Theatrical Company. Yes. Will you please extend a rousing welcome to the podium to this year's student commencement speaker, Jess Cohen.
Good morning, honored faculty, staff, family, and friends. When I was a sophomore, I visited the university's archives for the first time. I combed through yearbooks from the 1920s, read course catalogs in departments now long gone, and devoured student newspaper articles that addressed concerns ranging from the looming threat of a Second World War to which lucky girl would be crowned the next Denison Belle. I thought about the stories each object told. Who are the students these artifacts belong to, and what experiences shaped their 4 years here? As historians, we sometimes bifurcate the past and present, distinguishing between what Denison was like then and how different it is now. But sorting through these archives, I felt Denison's pulse as a living institution, one guided and reaffirmed by enduring principles cultivated over generations of students. Among these values, the most prominent and personally resonant are initiative, inquiry, and empathy. Since 1831, Denison students have prioritized taking initiative, identifying challenges without clear solutions, and creating meaningful impacts. During the Civil War, young Denison men eager to serve the Union did not wait to be drafted, but founded a volunteer infantry in Granville. This resourcefulness and determination was equally manifest just a century later, when students organized tirelessly to implement the university's Black Studies department. Whether establishing new campus groups from scratch or participating in service projects focused on local communities, Denison students remain moral agents of change driven by action and a collaborative spirit. Denisonians not only embody this self-starting mentality, but possess unbounded inquisitiveness. We are curious to learn beyond the self, hungry to learn beyond the comfortable. After World War I, despite global political tensions and pervasive anti-immigrant sentiment, a collective of US and foreign Denison students met weekly to build community and foster an international outlook. Today, we continue to model this practice by broadening our own international outlook. Many of us spent semesters living on different continents, witnessing the value of intentional and respectful cross-cultural exchange. Each semester, we deepen our intellectual viewpoints by choosing classes which challenge dominant narratives, seeking scholarly voices whose contributions to academia are not always reflected in the mainstream. And of course, we test the limits of our own inquiry, meticulously conducting STEM and humanities research that applies cultivated knowledge to thoughtful and nuanced questions. This power to organize and to rationalize is incomplete without what I consider the most significant value instilled by Denison: empathy. Because Denison students receive so much love from professors, peers, and staff, we internalize a desire to nurture and support each other on the Hill and beyond. We enthusiastically show up for each other at athletic meets, student symposiums, artistic performances, and cultural events. In moments of tragedy and hopelessness, we demonstrate tenderness in gestures ranging from offering a ride home to starting campaigns in honor of other students. We center humanity as a framework for discourse, recognizing the strength in a multiplicity of perspectives and being challenged to question and to defend our own. These values, initiative, inquiry, and empathy, are not archival artifacts that we leave behind upon graduation. They are what construct and continue to mold our identity as Denisonians. Through initiative, we will tackle new personal and professional endeavors, cultivating unforeseen talents in doing so. As inquirers, we will lean into curiosity and re-examine imposed ideals, coming to conclusions that we can justify and explain. And through empathy, we will embrace a diversity of perspectives and seek to understand rather than isolate one another. Within our institution's rich history, there is one organization especially dear to me. For almost 50 years, Denison's storied improv theatrical group, the Burpees, has encouraged each other to go out on a limb. This is an agreement to find levity in the unknown and to trust that your authentic approach to any situation is invaluable because it draws upon the unique ideas, life experiences, and moral principles only you possess. We honor this ethos by honking a horn, itself a historical artifact passed down by previous Denisonians at the beginning and end of every performance. I'd like to share this ritual with you all and to remind you that, like this tradition, the values and legacies we inherited during these 4 years will continue to live vibrantly in us and future generations of Denison students. Thank you.
Got to hear those remarks yesterday afternoon, and I went home and said to Ann, glad I'm going first, not second. Can we give Jess one more round of applause? I think for all of us who have had the pleasure of knowing Jess intellectually over the last 4 years, we were not surprised by the wisdom. And for those who've had the privilege of watching her perform with the Burpees, not surprised by the performance. That was really wonderful. Thank you. So it's now my pleasure to introduce the co-governors of the senior class, Katherine Mims and Thomas Vodrey, who will present the senior class gift.
Good afternoon, fellow members of the class of 2025, President Weinberg, esteemed faculty, administration, and beloved family and friends. We would like to take this moment to thank everyone who supported our senior class gift initiative this year. Will all of the 2025 Senior Class Legacy Challenge Committee members please rise and be recognized for your hard work? We would also like to recognize the outstanding leadership given by Adante Mays and Eliza Harvey, this year's co-chairs for the committee. Without you, none of this would have been possible. Now, can all of those who made their senior class gift please stand, if you're able to be recognized and show our collective impact. We encourage you to read in your programs the list of seniors who have generously given to the 2025 Senior Class Legacy Challenge. We are extremely thankful for the gifts this college has given us, and now we look towards paying it forward as we join the alumni community.
The generosity of our class was overwhelmingly dedicated towards Denison's annual fund, which offsets nearly 1/3 of the costs that tuition doesn't cover, including life-changing education, career counseling, scholarships, and student life programs. Each of us sitting here today has benefited in some way from the financial support of the annual fund, support that comes from all corners of our community, from alumni, parents, friends, and students. Today, we are proud to continue this important tradition and celebrate a new class gift record. I'm pleased to announce that the class of 2025 has raised over $5,200 this year, with 67% of our class participating in the senior class gift. We officially hold the record for the most individual donors from a graduating class in Denison history, with 384 contributors. There's an accomplishment worth celebrating. Along with the 83 clubs and organizations which have been started in the past 4 years, the 18,239 events that have been hosted on and off this campus since our first year week of welcome, or the more than half of you who have served as officers of a student organization this past year, these numbers reflect a level of participation that sets our class apart. We have participated, we have contributed, and we have organized. We've shown up, leaving our community better than we found it, including everyone to make sure they can make the most of themselves. And we will continue to bring that same dedication wherever we end up, whether it be as alumni, in our careers, or in the world as members of the global community.
Through our gifts, we affirm the value of our education and ensure that others have access to the same opportunities that we have been blessed with these past 4 years. Each gift, no matter the size, represents our commitment to paying forward the opportunities we've received. After all, we're not just leaving the hill, we're leaving a legacy. Thank you and congratulations, class of 2025.
And talk about Big Red.
Every class and every academic year is different in its own way, but I have been struck during your 4 years on the Hill, the first couple of years, just how engaged this class was in Denison, and then your last couple of years, how committed you are to each other and to the college. So thank you. Breaking that record is a big deal, and thanks for caring about the college. So before we recognize our retiring faculty members, I just want to take a moment and remember David Woodyard, professor of religion, who passed away in March, but was also slated to retire this year after 65 years at Denison. For more than 6 decades, Professor Woodyard challenged students to examine the role of religion in themselves and society, earning their respect and admiration. I think I speak for everybody at Denison that we just feel his loss deeply, and we will also be celebrating his life and impact during a service in June after reunion. So I now present to you the chair of the faculty, May, Professor of Mathematics, to recognize our retiring faculty members.
Hello. So, each year at commencement, we pause to recognize the members of our faculty who are retiring or have retired over the past year. It is now my honor to recognize 5 members of the Denison faculty whose collective exemplary service to the college totals 140 years. Full descriptions of their backgrounds and accomplishments appear in your program. Their contributions to our community of learning will be deeply missed. Will you please stand to be recognized as I call your names? Gary Baker. German, 36 years. Dr. Gary Baker joined the faculty in 1989, just before the fall of the Berlin Wall. And his tenure has been defined by a deep commitment to fostering cross-cultural connections and helping students explore the complexities of German literature, history, and culture. He taught courses that brought language study into conversation with interdisciplinary themes, explored German literature dealing with the legacy of division, and examined the economic and social issues of the modern world. He helped establish the International Studies Program and founded the Gießen Exchange Program, which encouraged students to study abroad in Germany. His accolades include the Charles A. Brickman Teaching Excellence Award, the Charles and Nancy Brickman Distinguished Leadership Chair from 2017 to 2020, and at this year's Academic Awards convocation, he was recognized with the Dr. David Baker Research and Scholarship Excellence Award. Thank you, Gary. Nan Carney DeBoard. Health, Exercise, and Sports Studies, 14 years. Nan Carney DeBoard, alumna of the class of 1980, before I was born. Returned to campus in 2011 as Director of Athletics and a faculty member in the Department of Health, Exercise, and Sports Studies. During her 14 years of service, Nan has built an incredible legacy. She has mentored her students and coaches by being ever present in classrooms, courts, and pools, and on turf, track, and fields. She has created a foundation of competitive excellence based on the values of trust, teamwork, integrity, leadership, and growth mindset, and has created one of the premier collegiate athletic programs. In 2019, she was named the Under Armour Division III Athletic Director of the Year. And in 2021, she was honored as the NCAA Division III Women Leaders in College Sports Nike Executive of the Year. 8 of the Big Red's 20 NCAC All-Sports trophies and 67 NCAC Conference championships have been won during Nan's tenure. Thanks, Nan. Andrew Katz. Politics and Public Affairs, 32 years. Dr. Andy Katz came to Denison in 1993 and has focused his research on the interaction of domestic and international politics. Dr. Katz has been a pivotal member of the Department of Politics and Public Affairs. As chair, he helped to create and grow the program to give students the opportunity to gain deep understanding of theories of politics and their real-world applications. He is the holder of the class of 1954 Richard G. Lugar Endowed Professorship and the director of the Lugar Program in Politics and Public Service, which has provided Denison students with opportunities to develop their interest in public service through coursework, internships, and co-curricular programming since 1996. Dr. Katz has also served as chair of the faculty and chair of University Council. He has been a mentor to countless Denisonians over the years and formed lasting friendships with many of his former mentees. Thanks, Andy. Linda Krumholtz. English, 32 years. Dr. Linda Krumholtz came to the Hill in 1992 and has taught and studied African American and Native American literature, examining literature's role in challenging and reshaping societal representations of race, history, and cultural identity. Dr. Krumholtz held a number of leadership positions during her tenure, including chair of the English department and director of the Black Studies program, guiding both in reshaping their curricula. She was also chair of the faculty, acting associate provost, and chair of the Homestead Advisory Board for over 20 years. From 2010 to 2015, she served as the Lorena Woodrow Berg Chair of English. She has received the Charles A. Brickman Excellence in Teaching Award in 2016, reflecting the countless classroom and office hours spent helping students navigate difficult topics with empathy and insight. Thank you, Linda. And while she couldn't be here, our last retiree, Lisbeth Lapari. Communication, 22 years. Dr. Lisbeth Lapari joined the Communications Department as faculty at Denison in 1998 and studies the relationship between language, politics, and ethics. Her research explores the methods by which public communication can support equitable and just democratic practices. Her 2014 book, Listening, Thinking, Being, Towards an Ethic of Attunement, makes a case for listening as a complex and ethical act, achieved by being aware of oneself, others, and the surrounding world. She further explored this practice through the concept of interlistening. Dr. Lapari was a mentor with the Posse Leadership Program and served as chair of the Communication Department. Please join me in thanking our retirees once again.
Now we're in for a treat. So Denison has a long tradition of taking time at commencement to honor people who have achieved at the highest distinction in their fields, whose work has had a broad impact in society, and who exemplify the ideals of the college. Today we are privileged to honor Dee Dee Bridgewater, legendary jazz vocalist, multi-talented artist, producer, entrepreneur, and humanitarian. I urge you to read about her many accomplishments in her bio in the Commencement program. At this time, I would like to invite Dr. Margot Singer to the lectern to present our honoree.
Mr. President, I am pleased to present Dee Dee Bridgewater, candidate for the honorary degree Doctor of Fine Arts.
I get the fun part.
Okay.
The trustees of Denison University, by virtue of the authority vested in them, upon the recommendation of the faculty thereof, confer upon Dee Bridgewater, artist, musician, performer, acclaimed jazz vocalist, artistic innovator in many fields, educator, producer, and entrepreneur, creator of opportunities within and beyond her musical community, a Tony Award winner, a 3-time Grammy Award honoree from, you can clap for that. A voice singing and speaking out for hope and justice, encouraging others to believe in themselves as she believes in them. As a performing artist who knows the gift and grace of teaching, where the classroom is a stage for every voice to be heard, with talent both to be displayed and refined, as a skilled crafter of the fine art of bringing disparate voices together, where leadership can sing out and scholarship finds new harmonies. From the home she has found at Denison to the stages around the world, as a United Nations ambassador in her efforts through their food and agricultural organization to bring the globe together towards ending hunger through simple acts of goodwill and humane endeavors. We present the degree Doctor of Fine Arts honoris causa given in Granville in the state of Ohio this 17th day of May, 2025, being the 249th year of the Republic and of the University 194, Dee, by virtue of the authority invested in me by the Board of Trustees and on recommendation of the faculty, I confer upon you the degree Doctor of Fine Arts, honoris causa. Congratulations.
So much. Yes, ma'am. What am I doing? Oh, my goodness. I'm so honored.
Now I'm not done yet. I want to say more nice things about you.
Oh, I continue to stand
You
next
can
to
stand next to me.
Okay, okay.
So we're not only pleased to honor Dee Bridgewater today, but to be able to hear from her as our keynote speaker. Dee is one of the most iconic voices in jazz, earning numerous accolades, including 3 Grammy Awards, a Tony Award, and the Doris Duke Artist Award, and induction into the Memphis Music Hall of Fame, to name a few. She served as a namesake host of the long-running syndicated NPR radio program Jazz Set with Dee Bridgewater. Expanding the boundaries of her art, she launched her own record label and established the Woodshed Network, a nonprofit dedicated to empowering women in jazz. As a Goodwill Ambassador for the United Nations Food and Agricultural Organization, Dee's influence extends beyond the arts, advocating for global solidarity to combat world hunger. We are thrilled to welcome her back to the Hill and to hear what she has to share with us today. And I am just deeply honored that Dee is not just joining us as our keynote speaker, but has become part of the Denison community. Dee.
Thank you again. Thank you so much. Thank you. How are you all doing? Hi. Hi, graduates. I'm kind of among you. I like this. I like this. No, seriously, let me adjust this because I have a voice that projects quite a bit. And I want to be dramatic. So here we go. Good morning to President Weinberg. Good morning, Adam. Good morning to the esteemed faculty, the cherished families and friends, and most importantly, good morning to the extraordinary class of 2025. Yes! You are the reason that we are all here. So I just want to say thank you for inviting me into this moment with you. I'm not an alum, as you know. I'm not a professor. Well, I can profess a lot of stuff, but, you know, I don't know if you'd want to hear it. But I have received this honorary doctorate degree of fine arts, and I feel quite good about myself. Oh, you're going to fix it? Because it's choking me. I can't talk. if I'm choking. Thank you, Margot. What does it do? What are you doing? We got it? Okay, all right. Don't move around too much. That's hard. Anyway, I have walked these paths with some of you. I have sung in your Swayze Chapel. I have led your master classes. I've shared stories. I have listened, and I mean really listened, to the lives unfolding here. And through all of that, I have come to love, and I truly mean this, love Denison University. It's not just a place, it's also a feeling. I have met Denison through music, through your courage, and through moments that I never expected. Some were joyful, some were heartbreaking. My very, very first visit here was supposed to be a celebration. I came to give master classes, connect with students, and perform. But during a student lunch session that I had, I learned that one of your fellow students had taken his life that afternoon in the middle of campus. That was a devastating moment for many of us, but most of you were not here at that time. But I have to share it because it reveals, for me, the heart of this community. In the face of shock and grief, the university and I asked one question: what do the students need right now? We chose not to cancel my concert. Instead, we opened the chapel doors. No tickets, no fanfare, just music, just breath, just presence. That night, I didn't sing to perform. I sang to hold space for grief, for love, for healing. And at the end of the concert, we stood together. One long, quiet, tearful group hug is what we did. I'll never forget it. You know, it reminded me that life isn't about getting it all right. It is about showing up with your heart wide open, even when it hurts, especially when it hurts. Now, let's take a moment to look back, okay? You didn't get here on your own, but none of us get anywhere on our own. So I want you to take a breath and think of the people who carried you here. The ones who offered financial support, who gave prayers, late night phone calls, quiet encouragement. Maybe they're in the audience, maybe they're far away, maybe they're even no longer here, but their love surrounds you. Graduates, if your people are here, even though you're sitting in this section and you can't necessarily see them in your mind's eye. Look at them. If they are not here, please hold them in your heart and let us collectively say, thank you. Yes. Now let us thank the professors who opened up your minds. I know your minds have been blown these 4 years. Let us thank the friends who showed up for you at 3 in the morning or 2 in the morning or 5 in the morning, whatever time it was when you needed that call and you needed someone to listen. Let us thank the staff who made your spaces clean, safe, and warm. The janitors, the dining staff, the groundskeepers, the security, and the administration. All of these people are part of your 4-year story here at Denison University. So let us applaud those people. So you made it. That's why you're here, right? You made it. This is why you have on these caps and gowns, and I'm admiring some of these caps that have been individually decorated. I especially like the 4 rubber ducks. Where is that? Where is that one? I saw the rubber duckies and I was like, that's my kind of kid. I collect rubber duckies, you know, and now it's a thing in hotels, but I digress. I'm sorry. So you made it through the exams, you made it through the late nights, you made it through your group projects, you made it through heartbreak, you made it through a lot of global chaos that is going on and some deep personal growth. You came here as one version of yourself, but you leave as someone more complex, more curious, more you. In my master classes here, especially with artists, we talked a lot about performance versus truth. Acting teaches you to step into someone else's story. Music teaches you to listen, to trust the next note. But life asks you to do all of that and still remain yourself. Not just knowledge, but awareness of others, of the world, of yourself. That is what your liberal arts education has given you. Now, I need to be honest with you. I'm almost 75 years old. I should be talking like this, because in your mind, I know 75 is really old, but not today. All right. Yep. My birthday is coming up in 10 days. May 27th, I will be 75. I can't believe it. And I am not afraid to show my Well, I love you too. I love all of you. But I say that, I speak about my age because I just want you to understand I am not afraid to show my vulnerability. I live with clinical depression, okay? I know what loneliness can feel like, even surrounded by applause. And I travel with an emotional support service dog. Her name is Daisy. I brought her on this campus the first time I came. She is not just a pet, she is my companion. She's my little girl. She is my grounding force. She is my reminder to breathe, and that is the truth. I'm going to digress, so just hold on the prompter. When I travel sometimes to Europe, I am not able to take Daisy with me. And there is a marked difference in my behavior. I am harsher. I can be downright mean. I get impatient. I am not a nice person to be around. My management team has given me a name for that person. It is Day. So they know when Day is out that Daisy is not with me. But I am fiercely committed to doing everything necessary to make sure that Daisy is safe, that she's cared for, and that she's always with me. Because mental health isn't something that you fix. It's something you live with and tend to and walk with gracefully. Do you understand me when I say that? I chose to speak about this, so hold on the prompter again. I chose to speak about this because I really feel that it can sometimes be the elephant in the room. And sometimes a lot of you will be going through some changes and you think that nobody wants to listen to what you have to say. So you keep it in you and you let it eat at you until you can wind up in a very, very dark place. So when I say to you, stay connected, I don't mean that as a slogan. I mean it as someone who has learned and relearned what it takes to hold yourself together in a world that pulls you apart. So stay connected to your people, to someone who knows your story and doesn't flinch. Stay connected to your body. Give it rest, give it water, give it movement. Stay connected to your needs without apology. That's why I am so moved that Denison now has the Hoagland Wellness Center, a beautiful, necessary space for reflection, for care, and mental health. I hope that some of you have visited, and I know, yes, that it is something that was needed, and it is very important. So I really, really laud Denison, because it's telling me that Denison is walking the walk. And that is important. Because brilliance alone isn't enough. You have to be well. You have to be whole. And please remember this. You do not need to be in crisis to ask for help. You just need to be human. That's all we are. Let me offer you a few things I've learned in my 75 years, and it's very few, because I could be here for 4 hours with you all telling you what I've learned. But you don't have to be fearless, just brave enough to try. You don't have to be perfect, just honest. Be honest. You don't need a 5-year plan, just curiosity and direction. As you've already been told, be curious, stay curious. I'm still curious at 75. Stay curious. And please, please, please do not let social media become the yardstick of your worth. No. Your life is not a post, okay? Do more concentrating on who you are, and give social media a break from time to time. You're getting ready to step out into the world. You are not going to have time to be doing all of that. Life is a process. It is a messy, beautiful, unfinished melody. Let it unfold. Like jazz, life will surprise you. Sometimes you're going to be off key. Sometimes you're going to miss your entrance. But if you stay present, if you keep listening, the music will find you again. So go out there, find your rhythm. Make noise. Make meaning. Be loud when it counts. Be quiet when it heals. And always, always remember, you are not alone. To the class of 2025, your life is not a script, it is jazz, baby. Sometimes you'll solo, other times you're going to keep the rhythm. Sometimes you'll improvise, and sometimes you will make meaning in the silence. You get to shape it, feel it, live it. So go out and make your own kind of music. And when it gets hard, and it will, remember, there is always somebody listening. There is always someone who cares. And if you need a hug, well, you know, I still believe in the power of the giant group kind, okay? So congratulations to the Denison University class of 2025. Thank you. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. I love you. Love yourselves. Stand up. Stand up. Stand up. Put your stuff down. Look at the person next to you. I want everybody to hug somebody right now. Hug somebody. Hug somebody. Everybody. All right. I'm done. I love you.
So one of the fun parts about being a college president is you get to spend time with all the visitors who pass through, and they're all interesting and fun in their own way, but Dee Bridgewater is in a class of herself. Can we give her one more round of applause? And for those, Daisy is in the house. She's up there with one of our staff members, with Hannah. And as some students know, Ann and I have two dogs that are remarkably not well-behaved ever. Daisy is amazing. She is a well-behaved dog. So I now get to do something fun. I now get to call upon the provost of the college, Dr. Kim Coplin, to preside over the presentation of candidates in the awarding of baccalaureate degrees as authorized by the faculty of Denison University.
Will the members of the class of 2025 please stand? Mr. President, I have the honor of presenting for their degrees the members of the Denison University class of 2025.
By virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of Denison University, and on the recommendation of the faculty, I affirm the conferral of each of your degrees upon receipt of your diploma with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities appertain thereto. Congratulations. Can we give them a round of applause? So we're going to bring people up. Provost Coplin is going to read the names of the graduates. I want one just footnote. You will notice we have a lot of names we'll read today of folks who are not physically here. That's because we have an insane number of athletic teams off playing in the NCAA tournament, which includes our baseball teams, our men's tennis team, our women's lacrosse team, and I think our women's golf team is back. So congrats to all of our athletes who are not with us today.
The class co-governors, Katherine Mackenzie Mims. Thomas W. Vodrey, cum laude. The President's Medalists, Annabelle Rose Calderon, magna cum laude. Noah Lucas Chartier, magna cum laude. Gabriel James Donnelly, magna cum laude. Jacob Epley, magna cum laude. Madeline Goodman, summa cum laude. Sophia Huang, summa cum laude. Jalen Jackson. Kirsten Wendland Johnson, magna cum laude. Gavin Henry Jones, summa cum laude. Elizabeth Louise Lyon, summa cum laude. Graduates receiving the Bachelor of Fine Arts degree: Matthew Mason Allen. Abigail Conturo. Renee Marie Heath. Tra Hung Va, magna cum laude. Candidates for the Bachelor of Science degree: in absentia, Victoria Alraba, magna cum laude. Carter Gray Anderson. Nico Argeros. Luca Bagashvili. Valeria Denise Benitez. Nathan Philip Burtman. Jack Blaze. Anne Elizabeth Blatt, summa cum laude. Emily Caitlin Bost, cum laude. Fallon Brackley. Franklin Bray, Jr., cum laude. Rain Bayan Bricken. Shay Card. Maggie Starr Cart. Samantha Chang. Elijah Colbert. Sophia Elizabeth Carroll Connell. Samantha Crane. Amber Elna Kronquist, summa cum laude. Duncan Curry. Jessica Dean, cum laude. William Decker. Tyler Distenfeld, magna cum laude. Duke Zwan. Saul Dorado. Claire Eldon. Abigail Joy Engler, summa cum laude. George McKibben Fox. Maisie Catherine Frederick. Morgan Gilmore, magna cum laude. Benjamin Thomas Brett Geller, cum laude. Francesca Gunn, magna cum laude. Augustus Michael Howe. Duncan McEwen Humphreys, cum laude. Takao Ido, cum laude. Junaid Imran, cum laude. Mohammed Harris Iqbal. Emily Jernasik. Athena Maria Joannou. Grace Kadlasik. Suk Mahek Kaur. Megan Irene Kennedy. Sarah Kissinger, magna cum laude. Tyson Klaus. Henry Edward Klein. Patricia Ray Klosterman. Han Min Lam Jo, cum laude. In absentia, Annika Tracy Larson. Min Duke Lei. Ta Ming Lei, magna cum laude. Yijin Lee. Matthew Lehman. Samuel Lewis. Landon Patrick Ryan Marsh. Nicolo Vincent Martinelli. Luke Martinucci. Enya McCarthy, magna cum laude. Caitlin McKenna. Walker Smith McMillan Meyer. Tyler Miller. Sam Morowski, magna cum laude. Maria Morosco. Christian Narcellus, summa cum laude. Celine Nguyen, magna cum laude. Ling Nguyen, cum laude. Nguyen Quan Nguyen, magna cum laude. Trio Nguyen. Tran Ong. Maya Pomrus, magna cum laude. James Gilchrist Patillo V. Thea Pedersen. Hung Ming Pham. Lock Pham. Emma Pyatt, cum laude. Matthew Lawrence Price, magna cum laude. Shashank Rana. Rebecca Ann Reichert. Gannon Riley. Niranjan Reggie. Braden Rink. Gabrielle Ronan. Amelia Senior. Emma Diana Showalter. In absentia, Ryan Starr. Ahmed Ahmed Stifler, summa cum laude. Saloni Todi. Mia Ann Tui. Min Bin Tran Ha. Min Dong Trong, summa cum laude. Vanessa Sang. Miley Margaret Tour. Spruha Bhargava Vasista, magna cum laude. Quinn Wu Zhang. Avery Vogan, cum laude. Holly Michelle Weisfelder, summa cum laude. Megan Welsh, magna cum laude. Candidates receiving the Bachelor of Arts degree: Winthrop Sargent Higginson Abels. Olivia Abel. Jacqueline Ella Abogado. Suryansh Agrawal. Jocelyn Aguilar Gramajo. Mia Yvette Aguilar. Alexandra Amelia Albeck. Malik Ahmed. Now Aizawa, summa cum laude. Marin Alessandro. William Elaine. James Allen. Lillian Allen. Luke Romeo Alley. Jaylina Almonte. Isabella Carol Ammerman. Emmett Levi Anderson, cum laude. Andrew Ungalo. Isaac Apple. Spenlove Abena Siwa Apia. Mark Argaluza. In absentia, Eli Aronson, magna cum laude. Thomas S. Leeson. Julia Assis Azevedo. Elliot Atchison. Emmy Ayad. Iman Babakar. Caitlin Baez. Calvin Bailey. Mary Baker. Owen Baker, magna cum laude. Antonio Baldovinos. Michael Ballinger. Anish Reddy Benswada, cum laude. Gabriella Marie Choobani. Victor Gomes. Zoe Barclay. Hallenbeck Jensen Barker. Megan Elizabeth Barker, magna cum laude. In absentia, Jason Barnes. Zachary Mark Barr. Aisha Berry. Rachel Bosson. Anthony Tyrone Battle, Jr. Alec Robert Bowden. Katarina Beck. Noah Bider. Sophia Benavides. William Christopher Bennett. Chloe Ann Benson, magna cum laude. Nana Abena Kanedu Burko. Janik Roshan Bakhta. Surbi Bandari. William Kepler Blodgett. In absentia, Jake Blosey. Celeste Rochelle Bone. Faith Joy Berard. Kaylin Maria Fernanda Borcherding. Charlotte Borden. Maria Jane Botella Miller. Emma Boynton. Hugh Woods Braccia, summa cum laude. Portia Raven Doshi Brackley, cum laude. Sarah Grace Brady. Kathleen Johanna Brandemart. Tomas Enrique Brockett Delgado. Megan Lynn Broderick, summa cum laude. In absentia, Caroline Brooks, cum laude. Connor Breckenridge Brown, summa cum laude. Granger Davis Brown. Aiden Brownlee. William David Bruce. Corey Matthew Brunner. Carly Mae Garin Buckner. In absentia, Sabrina Beakley. Han Tao Bui, cum laude. Me, Bui, magna cum laude. Trang Tu Bui. Sophia N. Bui, cum laude. George Wesley Burzak. Brian Nicholas Burns. Andrew Bush. Ella Busith, cum laude. Lindsay Elizabeth Byer, cum laude. Brianna Lynn Callahan. Carlos Manuel Calleja. Jewel Asher Camper, summa cum laude. Maeve Eleanor Carney, cum laude. Sean Joseph Carr. Jack Carroll. Nora Cashman, summa cum laude. Chloe Katana. John Catlin. In absentia, Hee Young Chai, cum laude. In absentia, Amardeep Chahal. Chloe Parker Che, magna cum laude. Bhumika Chetri. In absentia, Tao Cho, magna cum laude. Helen Grace Ciramelli. Thomas Coffey. Anna Gabrielle Cohen, summa cum laude. Benjamin Aaron Cohen. Jessica Raphael Cohen, magna cum laude. In absentia, Eric Colasso. Caroline Kelly Concannon, cum laude. Griffin Conley. Ethan Joseph Conkergood. Lucas Axel Conrads. Erlinda Contreras Garcia. Jessica Hope Coomber, cum laude. Janet Cordero. James Nicholas Corrigan. Lawton J. Corrigan. Reese Eliza Costenbader, summa cum laude. In absentia, Charles Cowan. Benjamin F. Cox. Let's go, man. Chauncey Robert Cox. Grace Bartmess Cox. Katerina Stella Christo. Caroline Hadley Crowder, magna cum laude. Charlie Wilson Crowther. Daniel Cunningham. Christopher James Curran. Jake Curtis. Kate Dalamonte. Patrick Freeman Daly. In absentia, Mary Daniel. Rayan Habib Dar. Andrew Joseph Dassaro, cum laude. Ashta Davi. Phoenix Xavier Davis Bailey, magna cum laude. Ryan O. Dawson. Tracy O'Mira De Leon. Scotty Powers Dean. Daniel DeSantis. Alex D'Souza, cum laude. In absentia, Anna Sophia Devano. Henry DeRico. Ira DeVase. In absentia, Tong Nhat Nguyen Do, cum laude. In absentia, Ha Don, summa cum laude. Hannah Mia Donahue. Colin Donegan. Dong Dong, cum laude. Whitney Higgins Dow, cum laude. Caroline Camden Dowling. Mary Catherine O'Reilly Drevlin. Charles K. Driscoll III. John Droder, cum laude. Bianca Druin. Caroline Louise DeFore. Travis Rivers Dunson. Lauren Dyer, summa cum laude. Audrey Marie Dysart, summa cum laude. In absentia, Liam Elliott. Catherine Luck Ely. In absentia, Noah Manuel Estevez Curtis. Catherine Small Everett, cum laude. Travelli Lorenzo Fabricini. In absentia, Nicholas Grant Falter. Paige Noel Feeney. Nolan Felker. Nicholas Bennett Fensel. Thomas Blaze Ferris, magna cum laude. Amanda Marie Fields. Kate Finnerty, cum laude. Molly Ann Fisher, cum laude. Noah Fishman. Preston Fisk. Caroline Flynn. Gates Flynn. Camille Gisella Fuller, cum laude. Caitlin Gagne. Andrew Gallagher, cum laude. Mariana Weber Gardner. Alec Gao, cum laude. Teddy Gieske IV. Ben Gillen. Bryn Glass. Haley Glover. Ari Goddard. Hannah Kelly Goldstein. In absentia, Mylan Bansal Ganella. Diego Ewald Gonzalez, cum laude. Ashley Elizabeth Goodell. Matt Goodhart. Grace Gooden. Archie Joseph Graham Turner, in absentia, cum laude. In absentia, Colin Gramley, magna cum laude. Zoe Greer. In absentia, Rhea Greenberger. Kevin Andrew Greer. Timothy Greer. Selah Marie Griffin, cum laude. Beryl Gultekin. Ricardo Guadalupe Gutierrez. Grant Gutterman. William Guzzo. Tree Ha. Wynne Sinclair Haig. Brooke Lillian Hallaby. Carlina Robin Hall. Nathan Hollenbeck. Isabella Ruth Ham. Anthony J. Hartwick. Eliza Harvey, summa cum laude. Abigail Hasselbrink, summa cum laude. Margaret Hausman, magna cum laude. Whit Hazelwood. Lingjing He. Madeline Claire Henriksen. John Galvin Hines III. In absentia, Elizabeth Maeve Hinton. Tucker Conrad Herzl. Feng Huang. Simon Knickerbocker Hollenbeck. Malik D'Angelo Holly. Brennan Holmes. Elizabeth Hu, magna cum laude. Isabel Howard. In absentia, Mia Eliza Hughes. Cameron James Hunt. Nuri Hyun. Olivia Uticon. Sarah Mae Jarecki, magna cum laude. Asher Jasonides. Noah Emmanuel Jean-Baptiste. Yihuk Zhang. Jin Kan. Kaylee Johns, summa cum laude. Caroline Johnson, cum laude. Anaya Soleil Jolavit. Margaret Caitlin Jones, magna cum laude. Ichit Joshi, cum laude. Abigail Christian Jump, cum laude. Takudo Kametsu. Panayoti Canelos. Sophia Lynn Caney. Tess Katherine Kelleher. Kristen Kelly. Shane Kelly. Benjamin Ramsey Kelsey. Annie Regina Kennedy. Margaret Pippin Kenny. Rebecca Pierce Kerr, magna cum laude. Shaina Khan. Dilnoza Husanova. Hangyu Kim. Yu Ray Kim. Dawson Charles Kimball. Liberty Alexis Kingsley, cum laude. Caroline Kittle. Georgia Reese Knox, cum laude. Catherine Kress, cum laude. Jake Kruger. Tenzin Kunga. Tran Nyok Mi. Ethan Patrick Jun Ching Lam. Lila Landsman, magna cum laude. Virginia Stewart Lawrence, cum laude. Uhen Lee, cum laude. Ellie Latu, summa cum laude. Nak Trin Bao Le, cum laude. Fong Le. Martin Lempia. Evan Michael Lenahan. Megan Leonard, magna cum laude. Lindsay Janine Lewis Pursue. In absentia, Jing Liang. Luke Edward Liggett. Charles William Littlefeld. Levi Liu. Margaret Lloyd. Jack Lohman. Caroline Francis Lopez. Yamilet Mercedes Lopez Fernandez. Trenton Edward Lockery. Ling Lu, cum laude. Peter Lyon. Youngyu Ma. Colin McLean, summa cum laude. Alec McCumber Straight. In absentia, Margaret Malin. Maggie Malin, summa cum laude. Tarun Mamin. In absentia, Zhao Yang Mao. Geneva Marquardt. Gabrielle Ashley Martin. Tomas Manuel Martinez. Owen Mathis. Lydia Katherine Maynor. Adante Mays. Kelly Jean McCaskey. Diamond Ayana McClellan. Matthew James McClements. Blake Matthew McDonald, cum laude. Liam Patrick McGregor. Matthew Christian McIntyre. Cameron James McIntosh, cum laude. Madeline McIntosh. Tatum McNally. Maxwell McQuistion. Ella McRoberts, magna cum laude. Jordan Meek. Selena Ariana Mendez. Luca Marato. Connor Miller. Emma Miller, cum laude. Isabel Thompson Miller. Sophia Miller. Whitaker James Miller. Margaret Julia Mitchell. Jacob Franklin Meisen. Hayden Theodore Mung. Claire Virginia Moody, cum laude. Caroline Yana Knaus Moore. Amelia Morris, cum laude. Samuel Arthur Morton. Timothy Moses. Tristan Moss, cum laude. Colin Murphy. Astrid Murray, cum laude. In absentia, Emmanuel Jacob Nager. Phoebe Naylor. Nam Huang Ngo. Ung Nguyen. Bung Nguyen. Ling Dan Nguyen. Cum laude. Kiat Nguyen. Lee Tao Nguyen, magna cum laude. Van Hong Nguyen Nguyen, cum laude. Phuc Hu Nguyen. Trang Nguyen. Van Ong Hong Nguyen, magna cum laude. Alex Nia. Lucas Noguera Balanuk, cum laude. In absentia, Olawale Ogunshute. Zane Olmsted. Ian Harrison Updike, summa cum laude. Cassidy Micah Homer Orange, summa cum laude. In absentia, Maya Isabel Ordonez Landsberg. In absentia, Daniel Ortiz Safante. Tumor Osmo, magna cum laude. Ellie Cambria Owen. Alex Papandouros. Juwen Park. Alice Perry. In absentia, Ryan Patrick. Lisbeth Xiomara Pena Morales. Ethan Piotr. Isabella Pereira Perez. Bobby Peskin, cum laude. Mary Catherine Peters. Anna Pfeiffer, cum laude. In absentia, Bach D. Pham. Wei Feng. Eliza Pilkington. Lucas Pillar. Joseph Pillion Gardner. Gabriella Grace Tupurlock Potter. Emma K. Pritchett, magna cum laude. Athanasios Prokos. Eleanor Marie Prout. Harrison Keejan. Liam Quinlan. Thomas Mark Quinson. Alexis Caroline Radhakrishnan. Richard Radke. Thomas Herbert Wraith. Antoinette Ramsey. Lauren Elizabeth Raypatch. Alexandra Redrick, cum laude. Julia Katherine Renetsky. Avery Rennick. Jonah Gold Richardson, magna cum laude. Jacqueline Richer. Lauren Elizabeth Richner, magna cum laude. Zachary Stephen Reithoff, cum laude. Evelyn Riley, summa cum laude. Julia Riley, summa cum laude. Eliza Boddicker Roach. Andre Ahmed Bernard Rogers. Carolina Romero. In absentia, Will Roos. Bella Rosabal, cum laude. Abigail G. Roser, cum laude. Anoki Roy Bhattacharya. Darren Rubin. Anshuman Sarda. Manan Surapriya, cum laude. Paul Andrew Scanlon. In absentia, Allison Schaff. Aiden Daniel Schaefer. Maya Jane Schaefer, cum laude. Zoe Schlosser. Sarah Schoenberger, magna cum laude. Caroline Schumacher. Lucy Nightingale Schwartz. Ethan Scott. Wenyu Shan. Jeremiah Shelton. In absentia, Chen Yu Shu. Charlotte Rose McGregor Sig. Sydney Silverstein, magna cum laude. Courtney Charisse Simmons. Harrison Holt Simons. Savir Singh. Sadani Sip. Ari J. Skolnick. In absentia, Ann Dalby Slaybaugh. Chris Slater. Isabel Francis Small, cum laude. Amelia Smith. Austin William Smith. Cameron Smith. Wade Covington Smith. Maxwell Soha, magna cum laude. William Robert Solis. Hababatu Sumano. James Southworth. Michael Spiropoulos. Josh Stegich. In absentia, Bryce Stepanek. Oscar Fairchild Storkerson. Paul Fitjof Strum. Micah Rain Stromso Di Lorenzo, cum laude. Michael Daniel Sullivan. In absentia, Seiran Sunu Ata. Ava Rain Swan. Sophie Hastings Swift. Foung Ta, magna cum laude. Saran Gebra Teklu. Tef DeWolde Burhan. Andrew David Theophilus. Haley Awesome Thier, cum laude. John William Thomas. Tatum Denise Thomas. Charles Thompson. Jack Thompson. Nicholas Thompson, magna cum laude. Simon Toohey. Caroline Busey Tikkanen. Emily Patton Toohey, cum laude. Declan Toomey. Stokely Tolles. Win Tran, cum laude. Chien D. Tran. Hua Tran, magna cum laude. Kien Tran. Avery Howard Traver. Cole Trigg, cum laude. Peter T. Tyak, cum laude. Richard James Tyner. Sean Ubana. Victoria Lorena Usher. Christine Georgia Valdivia. Jonathan R. Valenzuela. In absentia, Madeline Van Slyke. London Vargo. Caleb Vath. Elijah Vinos. Marco Savino Vigilante. Pep Umberto Viveros. Charles Stepp Vogelsang. Jamal Wairegi. Lillian Wallace Larkin, cum laude. Jackson Mountain Walsh. Nora Elizabeth Walsh, summa cum laude. Yi-Wen Wang. Isaac Michael Ward. Ava Mohammed Wase. Jordan Fraser Waterhouse. Liv Waters. Emma Wecht. Dinal Verisinger. Merritt Jameson Weltke. Haley Maddie Westbrook. Abigail Jane Westmeyer. Maggie Wills, summa cum laude. Clayton Brunt Wilson. Ethan Scott Whiff, magna cum laude. Taryn Ann Wisner. Anastasia Wood. Sydney Taylor Wood, magna cum laude. Brianna Rose Woodard, magna cum laude. Ajane Lachey Barbara Woodley. In absentia, D. Wu, cum laude. Jeree Sheng. In absentia, Jiaqian Xu. In absentia, Pengfeng Zhang. Abigail Yasuzawa, cum laude. John Anders Yavari, cum laude. Madeline Simone Young. Maxwell Aaron Yuzan, in absentia. Esther Zhang. Caroline Zollinger. Riley Zupnik. And Don T. Tan Ha, summa cum laude.
Can we give the class of 2025 one more round of applause? It has been a profound honor to share the Hill with you. Please stay connected to Denison and please stay connected to each other, and good luck. So as is our tradition, we close the commencement ceremony each year with the singing of the first verse to Denison, our alma mater. I'm pleased to introduce a group of our talented new graduates. They're going to sing it for us once, and then they will lead us in singing it a second time, and the words are in your program.
To Denison we raise our song, fair college on the hill, the name that that sets our souls on fire and makes our senses thrill. To Denison, my Denison, in praise our voices swell. The scenes of happy college days, the home we love so well. To Denison we raise our song, fair college on the hill, the name that sets our souls on fire and makes our senses thrill. To Denison, my Denison, in praise our voices swell. The scenes of happy college days, the home we love so well.
Will everyone please be seated? We're this close to being done. So please remain seated while the platform party and the faculty recess. After the recessional, Senior Associate Provost Katherine will dismiss the graduates for a ceremonial turning of the tassels and tossing those mortarboards. So be patient, it's coming. Thank you.
Members of the class of 2025, please join together as a class in turning your tassels from the right to the left. You now may celebrate, rise and celebrate with the tossing of the mortarboards. Congratulations.